Hello again, everybody. Zach Attack is here with the attack line for Monday, April 29th, 2013. Alright, let's kick things off with DJ Zach Attack news. We had an okay weekend. I was, embarking on the triple threat finale weekend of my Silk 13 tour. Only got 2 out of 3, and I'll tell you about the third show and its postponed date in a moment. Let's get on to the shows I did do this weekend. The 2 shows I did, part of this finale weekend. First gig was on Friday, which was the Splash Bash and RHS Pool. Of course, this was the 12th show of the tour. And out of a 14-show tour, this current tour of mine. And it wasn't as good as the last Friday night Splash Bash we did. We did a Friday night Splash Bash at OHS Pool in March. We did a Tuesday night one that was good too. Tuesday afternoon one earlier in the month. But this Friday night one we did last week, a few days ago, not as good as March, but still a very fun one. And it was, of course, opposing the Havel Elementary talent show held in the OHS building at the same time. So that kind of maybe hampered attendance, but it was still a good attended crowd nonetheless, and it was still a decent crowd. Not as good as the last couple, but still great dancing crowd, some dancing going, but now I can't wait to the next one in May. Now, also I did a gig on Saturday, the Huron Point Yacht Club Commodore's Ball on Saturday, held at Burning Tree. On the 20th last week on 420, I did the Bayside Yacht Club Commodore's Ball, but now I did the Huron Point Commodore's Ball, and I cannot believe I'm saying this. Huron Point's Yacht Club Commodore's Ball was better than Bayside, because Bayside took like an hour for them to get really, really going, to get dancing. Yeah, Huron Point, I played pre-dance music after their presentation, starting out with I Can't Take My Eyes Off of You by Frankie Valli, the same song I kicked off after dinner with Huron of the Bayside, and the Commodore got on the floor to dance, and all of a sudden got people on the floor, starting off right away with Pretty Woman. They got people on the floor, and a lot of disco worked. A lot of soul songs worked because these are a lot older people, about 50, 60 years old. Huron Point took shorter time to get going, yet Bayside's younger and took them a lot longer, so that's why I'm very surprised. And a lot of slow songs, like I said, line dances worked, rock worked, mostly disco and 90s. Disco and newer. Disco and newer. 80s is like a lost decade to these people. I played 80s a lot. I've done a lot of gigs for Huron Point, played a lot of 80s. It hasn't worked, so avoided the 80s much. Somewhat. But it was still a fun show on Saturday, and I was supposed to end the tour yesterday at the Washington Lions Club Gazebo as part of my finale to be held at the same place I did my very first Silk event 15 years ago. Unfortunately, the weather didn't pan out. So the show will now be tomorrow, April 30th, the exact day I did it 15 years ago. And it's going to be a very sunny day tomorrow. It's getting sunny now. Pissed it rained yesterday, but still, I'm doing the final show tomorrow. Washington Lions Club Gazebo, Washington Township, Michigan. It's a public show. It's a free show. So if you're in the area, come down and see me tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Starts at 6. Free pop and popcorn. And, of course, music from me. And it's a free event open to the public. In all ages, like I mentioned. Now, let's get on with the entertainment news of the day, starting with your new #1 movie. Yes, it is Pain and Gain, the movie starring the injured Rock. Of course, the movie only made $20 million. Kind of a disappointment with all this advertising about the movie. It was heavily advertised. And it was kind of a disappointment. I think everyone, including myself, I think everybody, including me, like I said, thought this movie was going to make a lot more than $20 million the first weekend. Yeah, only made $20 million, so. Hey, not bad of a showing. We'll see how Iron Man does when it comes out this Friday, and it probably will be #1. Now with the most talked about sad celebrity death news of the weekend, of course involving the Possum, No Show Jones, what do you want to call him? Country legend George Jones died at the age of 81 Friday morning after being in a hospital for several weeks due to blood issues, upper respiratory infections, will cause canceling and postponing several dates on what would have been his farewell tour. He was going to quit touring. According to several sources, the cause of death of George is Hypoxic respiratory failure, a condition that occurs when there is too little oxygen present for the body to carry out its basic functions. Hypoxic respiratory failure can result from low oxygen levels in the blood, an inefficient blood supply to the tissues, or the presence of toxins which prevent cells from using the oxygen that is present. Of course, a lot of people in the country industry, a lot of country singers, Brad Paisley, Faith Hill, many people have sent their condolences to George on Facebook and Twitter, sending their thoughts and prayers to George's family and friends at this very sad time. And I will say rest in peace to the possum, rest in peace to you. Prayers and thoughts go out to friends and family. And there will be a funeral this week. Actually, be a public funeral. Take place at, well, no better place to have it than at the Grand Ole Opry House this Thursday, where friends, family, and music industry giants will pay tribute to the legacy of George Jones, and it'll be open to the public. The Jones family is saying in lieu of flowers, that contributions to be made, instead of like sending flowers to George, for the funeral, the family is saying contributions be made to the Grand Ole Opry Trust Fund, the Country Music Hall of Fame. Like one of those two. So like I said, rest in peace to you, George Jones. The possum could be laid to rest this Thursday following his death on Saturday and Friday. Now on Saturday, as I was doing my gig, I was on my way to the gig, and at the time, the Rolling Stones were prepared to do not a free warm-up show, but a warm-up show nonetheless. Of course, the Stones, as we all know, kicks off their 50 and counting U.S. tour this Friday at the Staples Center in Los Angeles for a lot of money for the cheap seats. They did a surprise show on Saturday at Echo Park, a small little place in Los Angeles, charging $20. Stones do that. Stones do it all the time. Like when they do a tour, they do like a surprise club show in a select city for cheap bucks. They did that in Paris last year when they did their 4 shows that kind of led to this late 3-leg in U.S. And they did it the same in L.A. Usually do this in Toronto because they will host in Toronto. So I see they always do the $20 club show in Toronto. Now they're doing it in L.A. I wish they were $20 for the arena shows too. Anyway, the lucky people that lined up outside this Echo Park and got tickets to this show that only seated about 500 people got a treat as the Stones wound up the crowd with a wild and rowdy show to prepare for the big arena tour. They performed all their hits. It even had Andy Taylor show up. Mick Taylor show up to play guitar. He did probably at the shows as well. Cameras weren't allowed, so it kind of added more intrigue, more intimacy, especially if no one like this, No one's like, shooting the Stones, I hate when people do that. I like to enjoy myself. I don't bring devices to my show, to my concerts I go to. And then they kicked it off with You Got Me Rockin', of course, a lot of their hits. A lot of celebrities were there, too, at the show. Bruce Willis, Gwen Stefani, and Skrillex were at this surprise last-minute show in L.A. on Saturday. Of course, we may need more celebrities to come at the Staples Center to kick off the tour this Friday. Of course, ending L.A., Vegas, too bad not Detroit. Too bad. Speaking of people who would come to Detroit but now are, the Eagles announced 8 new shows on their 40th anniversary tour, set to be at the Palace on Saturday, September 21st, to be the last show of the tour. Now, they announced this tour last month, and they did not announce the Detroit date from the get-go, but now they added new dates, including Detroit, Chicago, and various other dates. Tickets will go on sale next Monday, May the 6th, 1 week from today, at 10 o'clock at the Palace box office. And I would like to go. I saw Joe Walsh not that long ago open up for Seeger, but Joe Walsh only does like 2 songs with the Eagles, so it's not that bad. So there you go. Eagles coming to Detroit on September 21st on their 40th anniversary tour. This is the last day of the tour as of now, the Palace. Now, other news on the festival. Too bad it's not Detroit, but if the 2nd annual Mixtape Festival was announced today. Of course, New Kids on the Block did this Mixtape Festival last year, which featured them and also NKOTB SB, and also included a reunion of 98 Degrees, which led towards the package tour. Now, they are doing the 2nd annual Mixtape Festival that takes place once again in Hershey Park, Pennsylvania. We're going to feature New Kids on the Block along with Train, The Script, Jonas Brothers, One Republic, Web 1, and DJ Ruckus, Boyz II Men, Hanson, plus another reunion. Like I said last year, the Mixtape Festival got to reunite 98 Degrees. This year they got to somewhat reunite the two remaining surviving members of TLC, of course, T-Boz and Chili, performing together in America for the first time in years. Of course, VH1 is a main sponsor of this festival this year. It'll take place on Friday, July 26th and Saturday the 27th. New Kids on the Block released a statement about doing this second annual festival. It was their festival last year and they're doing it again. Saying that the Mixtape Festival was so fun last year. The energy was there. The fans came out in droves to the support. Can't wait to do it all again this summer. The festival has just continued to grow and grow in only in its second year. And definitely stepping up already. There'll be tons of surprises and new additions we can't wait to be a part of. They're doing VIP packages, including a dodgeball game with celebrities. So there'll be a lot of VIP packages and a lot of things going on. Tickets go on sale, like I said. Not like I said, but tickets go on sale next week for this big day. And New Kids on the Block with headline Saturday with TLC and Joe Bulls and Boyz II Men. And Train will be headlining Friday with Scripted One Republic and Hanson. So there you go. Mixtape Festival 2 taking place on July 26th and 27th in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Tickets go on sale next Friday, May 10th. Now, on with news on, well, the Beastie Boys. Now, around this time last year, Beastie Boys were going in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and, of course, lost MCA Adam Yauch at losing his long battle with cancer. Well, today they announced the Beastie Boys are planning a memoir to commemorate their career, but it's not going to be any ordinary memoir. Instead, Mike D and Ad Rock, surviving members, plan to create a loosely constructed oral history featuring a mix of their voices, outside contributor, and images, cut through with their characteristic irrelevant humor, according to the New York Times. They have signed a deal with the Random House imprint, Spiegel and Growl, for the still untitled book, which will be edited by hip-hop journalist Sasha Jenkins for a planned release in the fall of 2015. Mike D and Ad Rock are interested in challenging the form and making the book a multi-dimensional experience, said the publisher of Spiegel and Growl. There is a kaleidoscopic frame of reference and ask readers to keep up. The MCs want to strike a tone similar to Grand Royal, the magazine they published briefly in the 90s to dig into their pop culture interests, their agent said. Their agent also added, the first one out of Mike's mouth was, I don't want to do a straight memoir. The agent noted that the band had discussed the idea of a book several years ago before Adam Yauch MCA died. Of course, Jay-Z's book was published by the same company, Spiegel and Growl. So there you go. Beastie Boys set to make a memoir. Would like to read that, because I like the Beastie Boys. You know that cool. So there you go. Now, sports. UFC was on, of course, as I mentioned. I did a gig on Saturday. The Human Point Yacht Club, Commodores Balls. Like I said, I missed UFC again, which was, of course, headlined by JL Sonnen taking on John Bones Jones. Despite a broken toe, John Jones defeated JL Sonnen with a TKO by elbows and punches. Well, I'm glad I didn't make that fight. I would have been pissed by the main event being a 1 minute main event. Fuck that, man. Being a one-rounder main event. And also, 2 fights ended by poking in the eye. Our co-main event, Michael Bisping taking on Alan Belcher, of course. Middleweight division, by the way, of course, John Jones retained the light heavyweight championship in that fashion. Shame. Like I said, Michael Bisping accidentally poked Alan Belcher in the eye, causing a technical decision for Michael Bisping in the 3rd round. While Roy Nelson knocked out Jack Congo in the 1st round in the heavyweight division. Mr. Wonderful Phil Davis in light heavyweight defeated Finny Magalis in unanimous decision. And Pat Healy defeated Jim Miller in the lightweight division by rear naked choke in the 3rd round. In that fight, Pat Healy against Jim Miller won the fight of the night. Roy Nelson won knockout, and Pat Healy not only won fight of the night honors, but also submission of the night honors. Over course, the next UFC will be on FX. It'll take place on May 18th. And of course, the next pay-per-view, Memorial Day weekend, May 25th, Cain Velasquez defends his newly won, once again regaining the UFC Heavyweight Championship and defending it against Bigfoot Silva. So there you go. Now on to my Raw preview for the night. I can only think of 3 questions for the night. That's all I can think of. 3 questions. Question number 3. Will there be some sort of DX reunion? Kind of. Triple H kind of tweeted out that to say to Columbus, Ohio, are you ready? Kind of maybe hinting towards DX. But the same Triple H may not be there, but who knows? Maybe Triple H is lying. Who knows? So it could be some sort of DX thing, especially with lack of big names. Getting injured a lot, including, I'll comment on him later in a couple minutes. Question number 2. Will any new matches be added for Extreme Rules? Now, we all know one match is in dire jeopardy due to an injury, as we all know, to some guy that rhymes with Bina. And, of course, we know the World title match is on Triple Threat. I said last week several seats were planned for several matches, including Fandango against Jericho, after Fandango cost Jericho a match against Dolph Ziggler last week. I said also a possible rematch between The Shield against Echo Kane and Daniel Bryan. That could possibly happen with all these people leaving and getting injured. Taker may have to come in and wrestle in Extreme Rules. That may happen. That match I predicted may happen. Sheamus Mark Henry could happen. We'll see if any new matches get added for Extreme Rules tonight. And of course, the number 1 question on everybody's mind, including myself, will John Cena forfeit the WWE title tonight due to his injury? Or will he go on with it and fight Ryback at Extreme Rules? Now, Ryback and Cena Extreme Rules is supposed to happen, but over the European tour last week, Cena apparently got injured. He tore his Achilles tendon, apparently, during a match in London. According to several sources, he got injured. Like several eyewitnesses said he did get injured during a house show in London. And that's why Cena was highly protected if he wants what happened on Monday. That he's officially injured, and he's injured his right Achilles tendon. But to what extent has not been revealed. Jim Ross said on his blog that John Cena has been dealing with the injury for some time. First, The Rock is injured after Mania. Now Cena is injured after Mania. Wow, unbelievable. Anyway, Cena did say, I'm banged up on Twitter, but he said he'll be on Raw tonight. So we're all going to find out, is the injury more serious than intended? And will Cena be able to fight through it? Or will he be able to forfeit the WWE Championship? And I would not be surprised if you hear this tonight. If Cena does say to the crowd, with this injury, I may have to forfeit the championship. May not be surprised to hear the crowd say, yes, 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 take down Super Cena. And this won't be the first time Cena would have to forfeit the championship due to injury. He had to in 2007. Of course, I made a video on this channel a long time ago called Cena's Not the Champion when he got injured. So, we have to link to that. I will maybe post a link to that. But it's on my channel. Cena's Not the Champion, a slideshow and my own parody of We Are the Champions. Cena's not the champion. I made that like when last time Cena got injured. So will Cena forfeit the title? We'll find this and more on Raw tonight at 8/7 Central on USA Network. Of course, Triple H is supposed to fight Brock Lesnar in Extreme Rules, so we'll see what happens there tonight, especially like I said with Cena. That is it for the Atakline for today. I'll see you all later tonight for my Raw review. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the news from Zach. See ya, yeah.